choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
Simbusela sinamukela ehlelweni Nedbank Business Watch sakubumbene insimbi yesibili lomuhla emini kungolesithathu. Usibuka kakhulu isikhathi sakho losipha sona, sethembe ukuthi udalithokotela luhlelo lwalomuhla. Libito lami ngusifiso ngwanxumalo. Anzika ngihambi ngedwa ngihamba na Lungelele Magagula mphambeni. Coach, how are you?
Nguni, I'm well. Kunjani mhle emini?
I know, ngiyaphila. Sithembe ukuthi babukeli sebavele bakulungele lokho lesibaphathele kona namhla.
Yeah, hlelo selivele liqalile lo sponsored by Nedbank Eswatini. Lomhlatini indzaba lesiniphathele tona ehlelweni lalamuhla. The UNDP CIC Graduate Internship Program was launched today. Youth unemployment still holds back economic growth. When young people can find jobs, innovation and productivity definitely take a hit. That is why the Eswatini Youth Empowerment Program, backed by UNDP and the Construction Industry Council, with 666,000, Malangeni has supported 17 of 270 graduates trained since 2023. Youth unemployment in Eswatini is still a significant challenge, with rates estimated at 58.2% for those aged 15 to 24. This rate is considerably higher than the overall unemployment rate in the country. Economist Senator Sibia will join us today for a conversation on the impact of youth unemployment in the country.
Kanzake bekungeke kube Nedbank Business Watch singanabo baka Nedbank labasivakashela namhla e-studio kutawufika Mdabula Dlamini lo buke ihlangothi letekuthengisa lapha eNedbank ungu-senior sales leader. Ufuna nje kusitekela kabanti nge-solution labanayo bangu Nedbank yesolar. Kulandzela ke kubona tinsaya sethi khona tekuhamba kwabogesi kungasiko ke kuhamba kwagesi kuphela nenzengo yagesi leseyisedulu ngendlela lemangalisako. Nedbank uthi solution etawuhlangabeta umloliswati lonelikhaya lohlala endlini noma uya unebhizinisi nalapho uyakhona kusitakala ngayo le solution yesolar. Sitambuta ke yonke imibuto le ungaba nayo ungumbukeli ekhaya lokuthi sekuthenini engabe le solution lena ingakusita kanjani as a homeowner as well as a business owner. Sitaba naye ke Mdabula Dlamini, senior sales leader, retail department from Nedbank Eswatini.
Hlala nathi mbukeli kwanyalo saselkhefu masinyana sibuya netindzaba tethu business.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Back so watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for tuning in. And now for our business news.
Our first story, the Construction Industry Council, in partnership with the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, has committed 666,000 Malangeni to the Eswatini Youth Empowerment Program. 17 young graduates have successfully completed internships in various construction companies between September last year and March this year. Now, this milestone was announced during the launch of the UNDP CIC Graduate Internship Program 2.0 held at Happy Valley, Eswatini.
The construction sector is a vital component of Eswatini's economy, contributing significantly to gross domestic product. employment, and social development. It has both direct and indirect benefits that ensures the sector fosters economic growth, creates jobs, and supports government revenue. We are also proud of the host construction companies who have committed to invest towards human capital development in the sector by hosting the interns during the period, and for tertiary institutions who continue to play a key role in educating the younger generations towards becoming a productive workforce.
Resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme, His Excellency Hendrik Franklin, affirmed their continued support for the program, highlighting its critical role in driving economic growth.
So I'm very encouraged by the efforts of the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini, notably through the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, which has financed this initiative, and also the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Youth Affairs, in collaboration with UNDP and other partners in developing the Eswatini Youth Empowerment Program, IEP. This initiative is an integral part of the wider UN-Eswatini partnership with the Kingdom to promote youth empowerment.
Echoing this commitment, Undersecretary in the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, Tapsile Mlangeni, who represented the Minister Dr. Tambo Gina at the event, emphasized that the government is fully behind the program.
Our country's development depends more on general education. We must cultivate sector-specific skills that are directly aligned to economic opportunities. In construction, this means apprenticeships for electricians, plumbers, civil works technicians, quantity surveyors, project supervisors, the list is endless.
Construction Industries Chief Executive Maqhawe Mnisi says supporting young people is key for economic development.
We all play a role in reducing youth unemployment. Some of the statistics indicate that, according to the Labour Force Survey 2023, which says youth unemployment is at 48.7% in the country. And more, statistics tell us that young women and youth are the most affected by unemployment, wherein they exceed 50%, especially in the Shiselweni and the Lubombo regions.
The Eswatini Youth Empowerment Program is a partnership between the government, the private sector, tertiary institutions, and civil society organizations supported by the UNDP. The program supports young graduates between the ages of 18 to 35 to gain work excellence, skills, and access while earning a monthly stipend. It also reaches out to young people with little or no tertiary education for artisanal skills training and entrepreneurship for business startups. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Dlangamandla, Fuminkosi Nzinisa, and Derek Nsibi, Ezulwini.
Since its launch in 2022, the Eswatini Youth Empowerment Program, supported by the United Nations Development Program, has provided practical training to 270 young people through placements in various organizations. Impressively, 43% of these participants have gone on to start their own businesses. This achievement was highlighted by UNDP Program Analyst Mayvi Twala during the launch of the UNDP Construction Industry Council AEP 2.0 initiative, where he underscored the program's role in cultivating a new generation of entrepreneurs and future leaders.
In 2023-24, we were able to train about 270 young people coming from every corner of the country. We gave them skills. A lot of them were primary school dropouts. A lot of them were high school dropouts. But they took the skill. And I can tell you today, of all these young people that we trained, so out of the 270 that we trained, 43% of them are self-employed. They have their little welding stalls, because after training them, we would then give them a starter pack. So if you were doing welding, after you've been trained on how to weld, we would give you an arc welder, your welding gear, and tell you, go do something, or go find somebody you can shadow and learn even more. And at times, we would even help them to identify those mentors. Unfortunately, 38% of those are still looking for something. The others are trying to move between working or doing some form of livelihood activity. Speaking about the graduates, we were able to place about 156 graduates during the pilot phase, which is 2023-2024. A lot of host organizations, potentially like yourselves, were then able to keep a lot of these young people. So, of all the young people that were placed in different host organizations, 47% of them were eventually retained by those various host organizations, whether it was public, whether it was private.
Well, and that's it for our business news. It's 10 minutes after 2. Stay with us. Nedbank Business Watch continues after the break.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.sz.
All right, welcome back. Young people are taking charge, driving initiatives to empower themselves, and the Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries, Eswatini, is on an exciting mission, partnering with municipalities across towns to gather valuable insights from young people, of course. Now, this data will shape local development strategies aimed at opening doors to new business opportunities for the youth. Now, to dive deeper into this very important initiative, we're joined in studio by Bonke Motsa, the Chamber's Vice President. Bonke, good afternoon to you. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
The youth has been knocking on doors for opportunities for a very long time. And I mean, we would be negligent to say there hasn't been opportunities that have been made available for the youth.
Yes.
But essentially, when we talk the sort of relationship that has been existing with municipalities and the youth,
yes,
it hasn't really been a glittery one. It hasn't really been beautiful. Is this finally the moment where those opportunities come into the fore?
I will probably say yes. I think also, I think from our point of view as youth, we had to understand how does the municipalities actually work? What's really a councillor? What's a mayor? What does the executive members of the municipality actually represent? So I think starting just from being informed on the structure itself, that this is where government service is actually decentralized. They start from those basics. And then, of course, understand what actually runs the municipality. The municipality runs through rates. So now, how then the municipality will prioritize the rate payers from non-rate payers when it comes to their sort of services? That also determines now if the youth is also part of that context. So we had to understand also how are the structures really run. So I think now we're at a point where when we approach and even engage each municipality based on their location and based on their growth when it comes to development as a city, we'll then channel the youth to actually take advantage of those opportunities or look at the different things that the municipality needs to grow, or the direction where a municipality at that level needs to actually needs to have to go to the next level, becoming a metropolitan.
You are going into towns.
Yes.
You are collecting data.
Yes.
You are listening.
Yes.
Sounds good on paper.
Yes.
How do you make sure that it doesn't just, become another survey fatigue, so to speak, but it is turned into action?
Just to highlight also how we collect the data. So what happens is yearly we have this forum, it's called the Youth Business Forum, that we have done in, I think, in 6 municipalities. We're hoping to take over 11 this year. So what happens is that we facilitate sort of a workshop the way we do a SWOT analysis with the youth based on their perception. What are the strengths of their municipality? What are the weaknesses? What are the threats? What are the opportunities? And then sort of from that information we get from the youth, we compile a report. Now, part of the forum, what we do, we sign a commitment board with the executive of the municipality. The CEO is usually there with the mayor and the staff and the youth there. So there's a board, that is a commitment board, just to show that the municipality and the youth both, because it's not just the municipality, the youth also given the opportunity, they have to grab hold of it and take advantage of it. So that's also one initiative that also, you know, we make sure that at least there's commitment on both sides of the party. Let's commit ourselves to the actual development.
I appreciate the stages that you're highlighting and, you know, it obviously asserting that indeed there is that mutual commitment from all the stakeholders that are relevant there. But I do want to understand now a concrete example, if you like, that you can make for us, for the viewer at home. What does success look like in a form of what one can call a concrete example? What happens after you've collected this data?
So, okay, part of the reason why we collect the data is that the municipality already annually, when their budget, they do allocate funds for youth activities. But you find that when you interview the youth in the different municipalities, you find that they don't even know, even want to partake in these activities. You find that these activities have been coming from a municipality point of view and then being imposed towards the youth. So what we sort of encourage now with the municipalities is that after we've compiled the report, we share the report with the CEO. So now the opportunities and the threats or the problems that are the youth have, for an example, when one of the barriers to entry when it comes to entrepreneurship in the Malkens municipality was lack of space to work.
100%. And I suppose my question in the form of concrete example goes exactly to what you want to answer now. And perhaps let's put examples. There could be access to land, right? There could be new funding. There could be preferential procurement. What does the real win look like for the real entrepreneur?
For an example, one of the things that the municipality, just for youth, because we just for us to build competence with our young entrepreneurs, we requested the municipality to try us with the simplest work or sort of tendering process that just for the youth. And then I think 3-4 municipalities have actually that reaches the grass cutting for their sort of plots that are sort of property that is evicted or not people that plots that have no one that actually is occupying them. So you find that this properties become over a long period of time, they become sort of also danger zone for the community, because this is where, you know, also illegal things can occur there. So now part of the project that part of the I guess opportunity was that let the youth company, not just individual, let the youth company be given the money to work, but also, you know, when it comes to the payment of how much per square meter or that process, you know, mathematics. So that's just one opportunity where we don't fight with any big company that opportunity. That particular opportunity, for an example, I think now where we are with that opportunity is that now the youth came back to us to report, okay, now we appreciate the opportunity, but now let's go to the math of the opportunity. Let's calculate per square meter if this thing is profitable, but at least now we're dealing with the mathematics of profitability. Not no opportunity. I think now also it leads to the Sakanive project that we're trying to flagship this year.
Let's talk power dynamics. Obviously, you represent a youth-led sort of organization with the Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries. But let's be honest, municipalities often operate through policymakers and too often people who are older, so to speak. And how has the reception been working with you guys as a youth representative regarding noting youth problems and addressing youth problems, because indeed those will be better addressed by youth representatives, and that is exactly what you are as the Chamber of Commerce Industries.
It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy. But I think it hasn't been easy for all youth, not just Youth Chamber. But I think it's the same thing that I think we sort of face at home, where your parents will want you to prove yourself, even though you're your parents, before they invest in you. So I think us as youth, if you have an issue of being tested or your competency, I don't think you should even be part of development. I think it's always good when people are doubting you. It's always good when people think you're incompetent. But your main agenda now in that context is to prove that actually you are capable of doing this thing. Because also, we don't want a situation where we're given an opportunity and we can't fulfill the mandate. And it will go back to the same story that a youth cannot actually do work above $1 million, something like that. So I think with the little opportunity that we're getting with the grass cutting, that's why it's very important for us to be efficient in the smallest things.
Okay.
That's what I guess we try bringing the youth context in the municipalities.
Fantastic. Bonke, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, sir.
Bonke is the Vice Chair of the Youth Chamber of Commerce Industries, Eswatini. We'll go for a net break now. We'll be back with Nedbank Eswatini talking all things their solar solution. Siphinde sinamukele ehlelweni soronibukela i-Nedbank Business Watch kulesikhathi lesingena kusonyalo sitawuxoxisana nalabo baqhamuka e-Nedbank. Sifuna ukubuka nje na indzaba lenkulu lesiyibona indzaba mlonyeni. Indzaba ke lena leteka indzaba yagesi. Siyambona gesi wonke umbuso ovumelana ngaphimbolinye ukuthi nangemambala gesi sewudulile. Ungaduli nje kuphela sekunetinhlelo lesetikhona letibitwa ngabo load management nabo load planning. Nanato letifike tamkhatsata umuntu lohlala endlini. Sendlule kuleto sibona kuhamba kwagesi bese kuba frequent ukhanze ukuthi nanako kubangwa kuhusha noma timotsite letikhona tesimo selitulu. Kodwa ke kungathi lo muhla Nedbank uta nelikhambi tsite lota ulithokotela ungumbukeli usekhaya. Funa ke ulalelisise na ukhona ukubona ukuthi ungashakutela kanjani ukuthi ube ngekucala kulithola lolu sito lolu sitawuchazelwa ke kabanti ngumdabula Dlamini non sales team leader lapha ehlangothini lwetekuthengisa kaNedbank Eswatini. So vele sestudio asimamukele umlangeni sikuvusele Nkosi kwamukele ehlelweni.
Siyabonga Mnguni, sibonga kutholela ithuba lelifana lethi sithandza kuvusela nebabukeli ekhaya bakangwane.
Nkosi, indzaba yethu sonke futhi ngicabanga ukuthi noma ngawuhambe ngekhumbi nawuhambe ngekhumbi lolo suku lolo nawuhamba ngetinyawo noma udlala ibhola usemajiteni amajita asho kanjalo usemalawini noma ngabe kuphi indzaba yini cishe wonke umuntu ungathi nje unekukhathatheka ngekudula kwentengo yagesi. Kungasiko lokudula kwagesi kuphela labo load management nabo ngathi abantu bayakhala ngabone kuhamba kwagesi malihusha kodwa kungathi khalo siphathele kona Dr. Ujabulisa umbukele.
Kuliqiniso Mnguni ukuthi sonke sikhathathekile ngetindzaba tagesi nekokuthi ke singu-Nedbank sinetinsita tesitiphethe ukuthi eMaswati ekhaya angavela ekhabo Nedbank asitakale kunelihlelo lesinalo lelihambisana nabo solar financing.
Ingabe Nkosi usayivuma nje lendzaba ukuthi iliqiniso vele uma sibuka emuva indzaba yabo solar beyingazuthi ibuzzword iligama nje lekusina ulisho vele hayi iligama lelimnanzi kodwa ningu-Nedbank lamuhla nifika ngayo nithi isolar solution. Ingabe nisho ukuthini nithi isolution kumnikati wendlu nakumnikati webhizinisi?
Uteka yona Mnguni ngayitolo bese kubuka ngathi into lekhashane nathi indzaba yabo solar kepha ngenxa yokuchinja kwesimo sempilo nokuthi ngalendlela esibuke ngayo ngayitolo bomakhelwane besibona kuhamba bogezi kepha nyalo sengithi lesikubonako lokho kwendeka la kithi onke mala. Nedbank ke uletha lo solar ngoba sowubonakele solar ukuthi unelikhambi lelithite unelichaza lelithite langadlala etimpilweni tethu sisemakhaya noma sinemabhizinisi.
Uma sibuka nje engcenye sibuka umnikati welikhaya sibuka umnikati webhizinisi sithi ke solar likhambi engabe ngutiphi leto tinsider khanza umnikati welikhaya nomnikati webusiness ahlangabetana nato letenta kutsi nangemambala kufuna isukumele na isola utawusitaka kutiphi nje tinhlangothi.
Ngiyabonga Mnguni uteka yona ukuthi singemaswati sinemabhizinisi sinemakhaya kulamalanga kunesimo lesibonako lesihlukile njalo ngesikhathi lethi site bogezi bayahamba bayanyamalala sikhuluma nje simindeni sinebantwana bayafundza nathi siyadla ngawo onke emalanga kuthi ngakuthi nasiphuma emsebentini ukhanze ukuthi nekudla sekulungile ekhaya. Uma ngabe sikunalesimo lesibhekana naso nyalo sagezi sekuthi uyacisha uyabhanyada uyacisha uyawukhanze ukuthi nebantwana nema assignment abasakhona kwenda ngesikhathi ngoba gezi sohambile ekhaya. Sinako ke thine ukuthi uma ngabe sesikufakele lesola noma sowudile eCarbonate Bank sakuhlangabetha ukuthi ube nesola nemabhizinisi Mnguni anayo insayeya noma anako ukuthi ayathika bedeka asesithi ungumpheki uyapheka uvala esitolo sakho ngetikhathi tasensambama ensambama abogezi bayabonakala bayahamba uma ngabe ke sowufakele likhambi lesola aneke utikhanze unesimbo sokuthi gesi sohambile nebathengi sebayahlukupedeka kanjalo nasekhaya neke kube nesimo ukuthi bantwana abasakhona ukufuthumeta kudla bakudle ngesikhathi nekokuthi ama assignment abasakhona kuwenda sekufuneka bawende ebusuku sekumnyama kakhulu kanti bantwana kufuneka basheshe bayophumula ngoba kusasa bavukela esikoleni.
Bokose siteka indzaba ye-solar solution lesiniketwa nguNetbank Eswatini namdabula Dlamini long sales team leader lapha ehlangothini lwetekuthengisa. Uvete indzaba ke lematima kakhulu uyiletha ekhaya uyiletha kuwe lendzaba yokuthi usheshe utibone leto tinsayalo ubhekana nato cishe ngemihla yonke ngendzaba yekunyuka kwentengo yagesi nangekuhamba kwagesi ngalendlela sehamba ngayo khanze uthanjiswa ngumoya noma sawungene kunaluhlelo lwabo load management. Uyadiveta ke tibonelo letifana ukuthi uma usekhaya kubita ukuthi kudliwe la khaya kufuna kuphekwe ngagesi nangabe kuphekwa ngagesi kungaphekwa kuphela nangabe lokudla kumakhata kungenela ichwa lapha efridge nayo le fridge lesebenzisa gesi kufuna usina ukukhokha ukufuthumete ku microwave ngagesi. Uvete indzaba yokuthi unebantwana laba esikoleni nabavuka kufuna ukuthi noma bangavuki nje ba ayine impahla tabo kufuna ba ayine ngagesi bakhona ukubhala ama assignment kukhanya babe comfortable. Akungathi ke kuyacisha ningasakhona ukudla noma basakhona ikayina akahlale nje gesi akhona ngana isolar solution labanayo uphinze ke uteka nendzaba yokuthi amabhizinisi akhona lavala sekuhwalele atawudzinga lo gesi lo ukuthi umna aphuma emsebentini sekuhwalele akhona nje kuhamba kahle la sitolo angesabi ukuthi sekuhwalele sekumnyama utawetshelwa tinfo takhe. Inkulumo yethu ke solichubeka naye Mdabula engabe Nkosi sisayiteka indzaba ye finance solution kunendzaba lematima ke ukuthi bantu labaningi nabacabanga leligama lelithi solar bali correlate noma bali equator nanaligama lelithi expensive shothi nje isolar itolo bese yathi ke ukuthi info ledulile vele etigwili kuphela. Engabe Netbank ufika kanjani lapho abelikhambe ekuthenini isolar ayibe yamuntu wonke lona elisifiso sokuthabe nayo.
Ngiyabonga Mnguni kuliciniso lokuveta ukuthi ngayitolo bese sina sibuka isolar siyibuke njengento ledulile silwane lesimatima lesikhona ukuthi sithengwe abantu laba netimali. Kepha ke sinetbank sibonile ukuthi kunechaza lelisite lelifuna selidlale etimpilweni temaswati ingako namuhla sisho ukuthi noma kubukeka ukuthi ngathi kudurile sivela eNetbank ngoba sinetinsita sinetinhlelo letilungela ukuthi uma ngabe umuntu sekafikile athi ufisa kuba nesola siyakhona kubona ukuthi angasitakala kanjani esigabeni sokuthi simbukele ukuthi angakhanzakali ukuthi likhukhu lakhe liyabhobozeka ekugcineni.
Kukhulu lokho emveni losekhaya ngoba sisaphila nje kuliciniso ukuthi maholo akalingani. Kodwa ke cishe tinsale sibhekana nato especially let basic letfaka bogesi letfaka naletinye nje tindzaba temanti lokwana lokho abo shelter licishe leto sinato tonke leto tinsaya so ngani simbukele ekhaya kuyamfokodisa Nkosi na umniketa lo tfo logcina ukuthi Netbank ba solutions eno are tailored for each and every person noma ngafika mina ngitibeke lapha kunabo ba minimum wage nako ukuthi cha siyalibuka lelo khikhi lakho sibuke ukuthi sithatha kanganani kuwe nangabe monthly installment ngani lokho kuyamsitha kakhulu umbukeli but ngifuna ukuva ukuthi kuyo le financing model le ye solar solution kungathi niyadicatsha ngokuthi ihlukile than traditional financing model nisebenzisa igama yokuthi i-flexible ngabe nichaza kuthini lapho Nkosi?
Siyabonga Mnguni ukunika leli thuba ukuthi singachaza ngaleli hlangothi lelo. Nasikhuluma ukuthi kune flexibility eCarbon Nedbank siyakholelwa ukuthi eMaswati nema client nawo aNedbank nalabo angasiyo ama client eNedbank siyaba khutsata ukuthi bangavele eCarbon Nedbank ngoba letinsita lesikhuluma ngato singabekisa nje Mnguni ukuthi nawu liswati noma ungumuntu osebenta uyukhanze ukuthi uba nentshisekelo yokuthi ufuna ukurenovate umuntu wakho. Sithi sina singinedbank faka le solar la kule renovation yakho ude eCarbon Nedbank sikubukele ukuthi yini lesingakusita ngakho keja sinezingolelwa ukuthi na ufikile eCarbon Nedbank sidaba nayo indlela yokuthi sikusita kanjani.
Ni phinze niveta indzaba le it was interesting nangubuka lokho ngikufunza phasi Nkosi ngoba niteka indzaba ukuthi kule nibita nge-home loan. You have a solution lebitwa nge-home loan ka-Nedbank but niphinze niveta ukuthi le solar ungayi-incorporate ngala ka-home loan. Lengibe sengiba nembuto ukuthi engabe lokuthi ngi-incorporate ngoba ngiyakubona ukuthi nako kuyangena ku-flexibility ukuthi kufuna lo mvulo oyi-new home owner noma umvulo osanalo likhaya naye lothe encenyisa afuna ukuthatha i-home loan achubeke naleminye imisebenzi ekhaya lakhe ku-flexible kuyangena yini kulolo hlangothi lolo?
Ngiyabonga Mnguni inkulumo lehlelo loyibutako indzaba yaka home loan ngiyona mbamba le ngakusita kahle hle ukuthi ikubambise kulelichaza lesikhuluma ngalo la kaSol. Sithi noma ngabe sowunayo le home loan vela eCarbon Nedbank sitokubalela sibone ukuthi ungayithola kanjani isolar. Lona ke lo safisa kuba nelikhaya sithi na senda le home loan application sivele sifake ikhathi lokuthi sidakufakela nale solar. Lokho ukuthi lelikhambi lethu line kokuthi ngoba vele kunelikhaya and letingcinamba lesihlangabetana nato singeMaswati disiphethe sonke siyakhutsata ke ukuthi eMaswati nangabe asayibonile le solution lesikhuluma ngayo ukuthi angavele eCarbon Nedbank likhona likhambi lesitawuphuma nalo asisho ukuthi ke likhambi ngase ukuthi liphathelana lokuthi i-home loan noma kungasasiyo le home loan but sinayo indlela yokuthi singakwendela le solar facility ukuthi ukhona nje ukuthola le solar facility eCarbon Nedbank.
Ngiyajabula ukuthi uyaqhizela lo ukuthi perhaps akusiyo le home loan per se kwasho umlungu. Indzaba yokuthi ufuna ukuthuthukisa lelo khaya lakho lesevele likhona shothi lapho uthatha home loan ufuna kwenda bathi ngema renovations labafunza naloyo nithi niyambamba ngesandla lo lofuna kwenta ama renovations ngoba ungakufaka as i-home improvement kufaka isolar ekhaya lakho nalapho nithi nimbamba ngesandla lo mloyo nimside Nkosi.
Kude lo sala ngaphandle Mnguni naloyo lalo tinsita letisite latifunako angavela eCarbon Nedbank sitawukhona ukuthi simside kahle sithi singinedbank itandla tethu tivuleke kuwo onke eMaswati angavela eMaswati eCarbon Nedbank sitobala sitokhona kuwabambisa kule ndzaba yanangezi lo sihambela sonke.
Sayideka lendzaba lena nginekwe ukuthi livela kangwane njengemhlaba wonke kunendzaba lenkulu yekubuka ukuthi kufuna nyalo likusasa sisiteka ifuture nyalo yemhlaba kufuna ibe bathi ngesingisi ibe sustainable ikhonse basakusho lokho ngiyabona letiluba labadibeka lapha embili tifaka ekhathi ukuthi kusaguquguquka simo selitulu kuyawufuna vele ukuthi cishe nje vele umhlaba wonke uke nje ukuthi vele uhamba ngesola engabe ninginedbank nilicapha kangakanani ukuthi le long term sustainability lekhona lebukwe livela kangwane nemhlaba wonke jikelele sevele nitimbanza kanyile kulelo goli lelo lakamhlaba ukuthi sibe sustainable not only for households but for the local economy and for the future of the world.
Siyabonga Mnguni kuliqiniso ukuthi singinedbank sidinhlelo tethu tonke dinako tibukeke ukuthi kusimama kweMaswati nekusimama nje kwemvelo yonke isiyakhutsata ukuthi emakhambi lesita nawo ahambelane nalabo green solutions ukuthi eMaswati ukhanza ngokuthi uma ngabe sowukhicita lo gezi welilanga lesola ubonakele ngayitolo ukuthi nguyena lo khombisa ukuthi nemvelo ayinyukubedeki ngokuthi ukhicite loyo gezi loyo. Ingakho nathi singu-Nedbank simkhuthata lo sola ukuthi eMaswati akayigenele bhasi yasola atokhona kubambisana nje nemhlaba wonke nekokuthi impilo ibe nelekusasa elichakazile ngisho nela kubule bantu bethu.
Sasephetha Nkosi nangumbukele uyasibukela njalo lo myusa shishelweni lo myusa libonjeni lo myuka ulaka hoho lo myusa enkhabave nangemambala usovele somthengisele lenzaba lena so uyafuna naye kuba nesola hayi ngoba indzaba nje letawusita yena kuphela so ucishe sowuthathena nakulo kuvetala kugcinene ukuthi vele it is indeed the future. Uqala phi leyo muntu loyo nathi sayifuna le solution lona ukuthi kufuna expect ini asada through this process.
Ngiyabonga Mnguni. Indzaba yokuthi usofuna ukuthola lisito eNedbank siyakhuthata onke eMaswati ukuthi angavela wo onke emkhandla la kunabo Nedbank khona afike angene ngekhathi siyesikhuthate ukuthi liswati lite netintfo letifana nabo payslip kokuthi sitokhona kubala ukuthi lo kunene singamsita kanjani. Siyakhuthata ukuthi ungesabi kude Nedbank sinayo indlela yokubuketela ukuthi ekugcineni tinsita ugcine utitfolile.
Umtabla Dlamini ngu-sales consultant noma ke senior sales leader lapha eNedbank ngaphansi kwe-department yethengiselana ka-retail. Uteka ke indzaba lemadima yesola la sakuvetele ukuthi ilikhambi kanjani kuwe ngabe sengigitha ligogweni uma ngingakuphinza nami lokho kodwa nje engcenye sesephetha sitaba ukuthi sikukhumbude ukuthi njengoba savetile they have their nearest Nedbank branches nanawe ikhwanje lethutane nawe na usenhlangana ikhona lethutane nawe noma ngabe ukuphi vela khona banawo futhi ne-email ongaba emaila kuyo ba contact kuyo help@nedbank.co.za noma ubathole elucingweni 32781 999 32781 999 uyabakhona ukuthi bakuphendule ngelucingo sitabahlala emarket elihlelo litaqhubeka masinyane.
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. On His Majesty King Mswati III's visionary leadership, there is a strong commitment to economic development that directly links to creating job opportunities for the youth. His Majesty has consistently emphasized that a strong, inclusive economy is essential for securing the future of young people. Hence, in the year 2022, His Majesty launched the Eswatini Youth Empowerment Program, AYEP, an initiative which targets investments in industry, technology, agriculture and entrepreneurship, providing young people with the skills and opportunities they need to succeed. Job creation is not seen as a standalone goal, but as an integral part of a national economic strategy. Under His Majesty's guidance, policies have been designed to foster youth employment and also drive innovation and promote active youth participation in the economy. This approach is building a resilient and sustainable future for the nation. To unpack how important this initiative is, in-house economist Sanele Sibia connects via Zoom. A very good afternoon, Mr. Sibia. Thank you for tuning in. This is certainly the perfect initiative for young people in the country. How does youth unemployment hold back economic growth in the country?
Thank you, Lungelele, and a good afternoon to the viewers. So, as you know, that Eswatini is, just like most African countries, is actually poised to benefit from what we call the demographic dividend. So that means we are in a position where we're able to, if we invest well in our youth, we could grow our economy by multiple fold, because we are at a point where the economy is, where the population is relatively youthful, it's a young population. So if we invest very well in our people, we do stand to benefit. In as much as we do stand to benefit from what we call the demographic dividend, but we are also, in a way, if we don't invest very well, we are in a way faced with what we're going to call the demographic curse. It's not going to be a dividend, it's going to cost us. So we do need to invest pretty well. And the youth is actually that very big portion of the labor force which we need to have absorbed into the labor market.
Yeah, Mrs. Bia, the business community has over time complained that skills mismatch is a problem, which makes it harder to employ graduates because of the lack of skill. How can this be corrected?
Thank you, Lungelele. I think this initiative that we're talking about right now is one of those initiatives that are being taken to correct that skills mismatch between the labor force and the job market. So we ensure that our graduates are actually ready for the job market. And when you take the youth in under this program, you actually do give them the relevant hand-holding and the relevant training that they need in order for them to succeed when they enter into the job market. So this is quite critical. It's one of those things, Lungelele, where we retrain our people outside of tertiary and not wait for the business to absorb that additional cost of retraining that individual unit of labor. Another thing that we can do, Lungelele, which is more long-term, is we need to constantly review our education system, our training system, so that we produce people that are quite relevant and required in the labor force. So we need, in the labor market, so we need to actually have programs that are aligned. And we are seeing such initiatives already ongoing in the country, where we're trying to realign and restructure most of our programs or program offering. And another thing that we need to do, Lungelele, is to go back to the drawing board and start reinvesting in trust to invest in trades and skills. We need to beef up that skills training center, that trade testing center up there at Scott, and ensure that our people can actually have access to the labor force with just what the labor market needs through these programs, Lungelele, not just focus on tertiary education alone. And another issue that we can explore, Lungelele, is the issue of training and retraining. We could invest a bit of money already in training the graduates that are out there, that are already operating, and retrain them so that they are quite ready and relevant for this labor force, for this labor market. And at times you'd find that it's not much that is needed. For example, you might have an engineer, but probably what they need is basic skills and automation. So that doesn't require a new investment in terms of training this particular person, but you could just structure the training such that you give them the skills that they need in order for them to be relevant within the labor force.
Yeah, speaking of training these young people, Mr. Sbia, it does align with the labor market and it is crucial. How important is it in investing in quality education and vocational training programs for the youth in the country?
So that's quite critical, Lungele, because what we need to try to balance as a country is make sure that we do not transfer as much of the training cost to the business or to commerce, because we do know that commerce is actually in the business of making money. They are actually focusing on the bottom line. So if we can scale up programs and initiatives like these ones so that we are able to retool and retrain and assist the graduates with the relevant experience and the relevant training that they need before they can go out there to face the labor market, then I think that one is quite critical, and it's where we need to really focus as a country, make sure we're going back to those trade related initiatives, make sure we go back to those vocational initiatives, and make sure we go towards the high level and high paying, tech investments and that tech education to ensure that we produce the relevant skills so that we are able to attract direct foreign investment to come through and assist.
How else, Mrs. Spear, can the youth be empowered? This is such a great initiative by the UNDP. What other programs or initiatives can the country be involved in to empower the youth?
We need to ensure that our youth can actually self-train and allow them to take self-training initiatives so that they skill themselves and they improve their own skills. We also do need to invest in the incubator program, for example. We need to make sure that we are able to support our tech and entrepreneurs to actually grow within that space. And we need to create that environment that is quite enabling. And also we need to ensure as a country that not only do we focus on getting the youth ready for the labor force, for the labor market, but we need to ensure that our young people are also capacitated to take up leadership positions within entrepreneurial initiatives. They need to be able to lead those entrepreneurial initiatives forward and take them forward. So we need to ensure that we are investing in all of those initiatives, Lungelele, as a country, to make sure that we are able to grow. And we need to also take a step back and think of vocational and pre-vocational training so that, not everyone is going to make it in the labor force, in the labor market. But if we do capacitate and give people skills so that they can put bread on the table through, in being involved in the entrepreneurial journey, we need to support that. Over and above that, we need to ensure that we grow our access to capital landscape, and we also grow our financing landscape, our financing modalities, so that you also do allow businesses to grow and also absorb quite a number of the new entrants that are coming into the labor market.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Spear, for your insights. Always appreciated. That is in-house economist Sanele Spear, just unpacking this program initiative launched by the UNDP today. Let's go for a net break. When we resume, Nozibuziso from Nedbank joins us.
Eswatini TV has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Eswatini Communications Commission. We are committed to reporting news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that does not amount to hate speech or the description of gratuitous violence or explicit sex. For any complaints of our programming, please contact us on 2411-9600 or email info@eswatinitv.co.za. You can also contact the Eswatini Communications Commission on 2406-7000 or write a letter to ECCOM on PO Box 7811 Mbabane. Email address is info@ecom.org.za.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. This is our final segment. We're taking a look at today's markets with Nozibusiso Dembe from Nedbank. Afternoon, Nozi. Welcome back. It's been a while.
Lulu. It's been a while. Good to be back.
All right. So what are the numbers saying today? Well, let's start off with taking a look at the US dollar. I did see that this week, during the beginning of the week, it was weakening. Is it still weakening?
So, yeah, we've observed the US dollar weakening and the rand strengthening since last week after Fed Chairperson Jerome Powell made comments indicating that his expectation for inflation is that it might still rise in the summer, well, their summer, our winter, and if it does remain contained, that is only when the Fed is willing to make interest rate cuts. The way the market interpreted that is to say that there are possible interest rate cuts that are going to happen now in July. What that means is if interest rates are cut in the US, ZAR assets become more attractive for investors, so that then strengthens the ZAR. So currently, the US dollar against the SZL is 771. The pound against the SZL trading at 24.1881. The US dollar weakening wasn't made any better by what some of the comments that Trump had to make last week about the Fed chair, calling him terrible and saying that he has a handful of people in his mind who could be good runners to replace him. Trump has wanted interest rates to be cut for some time, and Jerome Powell has been resisting, saying that the Fed only cuts interest rates if the data suggests so, not anything otherwise. So they have been at loggerheads because of that.
Okay, so let's take a look at South Africa. Are there any tensions in the GNU after President Ramaphosa fired the Minister of Trade in South Africa?
Yeah, so there are tensions right now in the GNU in South Africa. As you're saying, Cyril Ramaphosa fired the Deputy Minister of Trade, Andrew Whitfield, last week, citing that he went on a trip to the US, an unsanctioned, unauthorized trip to the US, whereas national executives are supposed to have those authorized. So he fired the Deputy Minister, and the Deputy Minister is from the DA. So there's a lot of tension right now between the DA and the ANC. But surprisingly, that didn't move markets much, probably because the two events that I just spoke about, being Jerome Powell and Trump, were so significant that the movement of this wasn't seen. So we didn't see a huge move because of that.
All right, so let's just move on to commodities. With what's happening in the US, how are commodities reacting? Oil is rising again. Gold is rising also. What's happening? Tell us more.
Yeah, so like you're saying, the price of oil is inching up, primarily because the expectation from the market is that OPEC will announce that they are increasing their oil production for July, mainly because of an increase in demand from China, Saudi, and Russia. So that is the expectation from the market. And before that, the price of oil was falling because of the Israel-Iran war. The conflicts around that, the ceasefire, we saw the price of oil decrease, but now it's starting to inch back up. Currently, oil is trading at $71.55 per barrel, and gold is trading at $3,344.89 per ounce. On the side of gold, gold was a safe haven for a lot of investors during the peak of the Iran-Israel war, and we saw it retreat after the ceasefire was agreed last week. Okay. But now we're starting to see it inch up a bit, primarily because the US dollar is weakening. So we're seeing the price of gold inch up, as you can see.
Okay, so moving on to equities, how is the S&P 500 performing today?
The S&P 500 closed at a slight negative yesterday, primarily dragged down by tech stocks. Those were really hard hit, but, well, not really hard hit because it's quite marginal, but they're the ones dragging the index down. On the FTSE side, we are seeing slight positive returns on that, mainly because of optimism around the US trade negotiations that are currently going on. We know that it's a couple of days until the 9th of July, and that is the deadline for trade negotiations to be done with the US. So there's optimism around what those negotiations are looking like for Europe, and we're seeing that in the numbers of the FTSE. Same with the JSE All Share Index. We're also seeing slight positive gains on that, also because there's optimism around that. I think right now it's crunch time for that tariff conversation.
Okay. So lastly, before I let you go, what is it that we need to watch out for this week?
This week, what we're watching out for, which will drive markets, is the non-farm payroll, which is happening on Friday, which is the U.S. jobs data. That normally drives market quite quickly and quite significantly. And then we also need to look out now for some of the conversations that are happening in this last period before the 9th of July. We're expecting to see what the outcomes of South Africa and U.S.'s conversations will be regarding trade, because that'll give us a direction going forward.
All right, thank you so much for that analysis. Well, there you have it, and that is how markets are reacting today, this Wednesday afternoon. Nosy Boo's just given us her analysis of today's markets. We've come to the end of our program, but let's go for an ad break, and we come and wrap up the show with Sfiso.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Fifty-six minutes after 2. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nedbank Business Watch. It has been quite an informative episode. We've learned about the solar solution that is offered by Nedbank Eswatini, and indeed, you need to go to your nearest Nedbank branch, and the consultants there will help you, take you through the process or the steps, all the necessary steps that you should take in order to get this solution. You can even attach it to your home loan or your home improvement. If you want to renovate your home, you can still get that solution. So make sure that you do get to your nearest Nedbank branch.
Yeah, and also to interact with them on their social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. They will respond to you instantly. We've come to the end of our program. Thank you for tuning in. If you've just joined us, worry not, you can still watch this episode on our YouTube page, Eswatini TV. We'll see you again next week, Wednesday, for Nedbank Business Watch. Take care.
Takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.